Revenge films.
My name is Nancy. I live as a happy family of 3 with my husband Chris and my 5-year-old son. For a while after giving birth to my son, I'd been taking a leave, but I quickly went back to work. My husband and I had a dream to build our own house. Fortunately, I worked for a large corporation in the city. I made a decent amount of money and received bonuses. My husband also had a job, and he helped me a lot with the housework and looking after our baby. Thanks to that, we were able to build our own house. My husband felt sorry for his mother who lived alone, so he suggested that we invite her to move in with us. I had to respect my husband's mother, so I agreed. He told me that she'd been living a simple and boring life, taking care of 5 children in the countryside. But once she moved into the city, she quickly adapted to her new lifestyle, starting to spend money extravagantly. She promised to help us with housework and look after our child before she moved in with us, but she never did. "That's the wife's job." She would say that and never listens. Of course, she didn't work or anything and went to hang out with her new friends she made in the city, and spent all day at home being lazy. She would often ask me to give her pocket money as well, but I recently discovered that it wasn't half as bad. She started to complain about every single thing I did. That day at midnight, I came home feeling exhausted from working until very late. I thought everyone was asleep, but my mother-in-law, who often takes a nap, was still awake. She disliked how both my husband and I had a job, so this was the first thing she yelled at me. "What time do you think it is? You're playing around until late, although you're married already." "Mother, Chris and my son's gonna wake up if you use such a loud voice." "It's your fault for playing around until midnight. I don't want to get mad too, you know. Gosh, playing around, not taking care of your young son." "I'm not playing around. I've been telling you so many times. I was working. I already told my husband that I'll be home late today." "What kind of wife would make her husband do the housework and look after their child? You always use your job as an excuse. I bet your job is nothing special. I know how limited job options are for women." I explained to her again for I don't know how many times I've told her the same thing. It's not that rare for men to look after their child and do the housework nowadays. "You don't even give the baby your own milk, using that as an excuse. Oh, poor baby. He had to live on the fake milk that's sold at the supermarket. I bet he'll have problems growing up." "Don't be ridiculous. Babies can grow up just fine even if they didn't drink their mother's milk. You can see that my son's growing up just fine." "I'm telling you that he'll face problems in the future." "I had to work, so I couldn't give him my milk all the time." "See, you're using your job as an excuse again. I've never used my work as an excuse in my life. It's the men's job to work out. I relied on my husband to work outside, and I looked after my 5 children at home. I focused on housework and looking after my children." "If I become a housewife like you, we wouldn't be able to live a nice life like we have right now." "I bet you don't make much money. How dare you say something so bold?" After telling me whatever she wanted to say, she yawned once and went back to her room. The next day, when I was attending a meeting at work, my mother-in-law contacted me saying it was an emergency. I had asked them not to call me during work except for when it was an emergency, so I excused myself from the important meeting and answered her call. I didn't really understand what had happened, although my junior, who answered the call on my behalf, told me what it was about. "Don't tell me someone got into an accident." "What happened?" When I asked her, feeling worried, she yelled at me angrily. "Why didn't you answer within 3 seconds? I thought it was the norm to answer someone's call within 3 seconds. Gosh, you don't even understand the basic business rule. I bet you don't even have a decent job." "I was in an important meeting. It's impossible to answer your call within 3 seconds. And what's wrong?" "It's an emergency. I'm on a day trip to a hot spring with my friends, but I forgot to bring the snacks I was planning to eat with them." "Huh?" "So can you go home to pick it up and bring it to me at the hot spring? We'll be waiting while we eat lunch. Make sure to bring it to us before we finish eating. The name of the hotel we're at is..." Wait a minute. I think think I already told you this, but I am having an important meeting right now. And I asked to leave the meeting just to answer your call. Please don't tell me that you called me just for this. Just? Your mother-in-law's in trouble. It's the wife's job to help her when in need, or are you saying that families don't have to help each other? That's not the point. I can't do that for you right now. Come on, chop chop. I bet your work isn't that important. A woman can only either make some tea or make copies at work. Are you gonna say that those jobs are more important than your mother-in-law? I sighed. I thought I gave you pocket money. Use that to eat whatever you like instead of the snacks. Don't think you're better than me just because you give me a little bit of pocket money. It's not a small amount. It might be a few $10 bills every time. But I've been giving you at least $700 this month, and you also receive a pension. You don't even pay for your own living expenses, so you should have enough. Shut up! Don't you dare talk back to your mother-in-law. This is why I hate it when you have a job. The only thing you get better at is arguing back. At the end, she agreed that I'll pay for everything she ate at the expensive sweet shop instead. I obviously asked her not to repeat something like this ever again and made sure she understood. But I bet she enjoyed annoying me through this method and began to give me a call often during my work hours. And she would start off by saying she got into an accident or fell sick, so I had no other choice but to answer her calls. Now that I had to take breaks often, my boss obviously warned me about my attitude. That night, I asked my husband for help. Because of her fake calls, I had to take breaks often at work. And I was losing trust from the company and how I might have to become a part-timer from a full-time worker. My husband got furious and he woke his mother up to have a family discussion with the three of us. At first, his mother looked very frustrated. After my husband checked with her that if that was the truth, and now that he was sure that I was telling the truth, he scolded his mother. She argued back. What's wrong with becoming a part-timer? It would actually be better if the wife could quit her job. What's so upsetting about it? My husband sighed hearing that.
Nancy makes twice as much money as me. If she becomes a housewife, you won't be able to play around every day. I'll even have to ask you to contribute, like the rent, food expenses, and other living expenses.
Huh? It was fun to see her expression. She looked shocked and she quickly went pale.
She didn't tell you because there was such a huge gap between what I make and what she makes.
No way.
We were able to build this house thanks to Nancy's job, and I bet you receive a decent amount of pocket money from Nancy.
Huh? I thought that she was just managing the finances of the household.
Nancy was giving you pocket money from her own salary. It's not from my salary.
My husband was tired of his mother bullying his wife, so he asked his uncle for advice. He was his mother's big brother. He was someone she couldn't disobey. He said that he'll have her move in with her because he didn't have enough people to look after the kids. The next day, he came to pick her up. It turns out that he had more than 10 children and grandchildren, and it was a lot of work for him to look after all of them. Good for you, Mother. Looks like there are a lot of jobs suitable for women. Wait, Nancy, stop him. Help me, my luxurious life. You deserve it. Goodbye. She was taken to his brother's house. As a result of doing whatever she wanted, she's now busy doing all the housework and looking after the children from early in the morning to late in the night. Either she lost her skills while playing around or wasn't that skilled as she said she was. She's been scolded a lot, failing to complete the housework.
How was today's video? If you enjoyed it, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment. Stay tuned for more.